Hey everybody. I want to speak on something today. A student of mine was asking about paying to co-write. He came across an opportunity to pay a professional songwriter for the opportunity to write a song with him. It was an exorbitant fee. It was a lot of money for about maybe a 4 or 5 hour window, it looked like to me. And my student was asking me, is this something that they should do? And of course, implied in all of this is, if I write with this professional songwriter and pay them this much money, my name will be in the parentheses next to theirs and will be most likely pitched and maybe recorded by an artist, and then I get a big check from Country Airplay or whatever it is. So implied, and quite frankly, explicit in the whole arrangement is that yes, if you do write with this professional songwriter, then you will be closer to living the dream of getting a song recorded. It's been going on for a while now. It's a boutique business that kind of cropped up when things started looking bad in Music City and songwriters had to do other things. Many taught and are still teaching. Some are good, most are not. And then the idea of paying to co-write sort of became a thing under the umbrella of teaching. I've been teaching for a long time and co-writing for a long time, and the two, I can't imagine how the two can actually work in a 4 or 5 hour window. Obviously, I believe in teaching, and some good teaching can be done, and it's a valuable thing to be able to do. But these guys, this one in particular, is advertising the co-writing, paying to co-write as a learning experience, and given the fact that there's only a limited amount of time, and the customer has to be, in this case, the new co-writer has to be satisfied with the experience, especially after paying a lot of money. I won't say how much, but it's quite incredible, really, that experience wasn't something rewarding, and that they didn't leave with a full song co-written, then that would not be a happy customer. The dream would not be a possibility, and that person would not be someone who would speak highly of the experience and then encourage others to do the same. I've heard it described, I have talked to those who have done it and heard it described as a kind of like a 4 hour sprint to the finish line, and you can imagine why they felt that way. I can't imagine teaching being able to take place, and I don't care what you say, in that amount of time. Again, being that the customer has to leave with a finished song. So really the pro writers are writing their butts off to get this thing done as quickly and as painlessly as possible, probably. I wouldn't pay Jimmy Webb a penny for a co-write, but I'd pay him $2,500 for a great workshop, perhaps. Jimmy, if you're listening, if it was going to be a full day or two of him actually teaching, maybe his harmonic approach or something, but I wouldn't pay him a penny, or anybody a penny, to co-write. It resembles the oldest profession in the world, if you think about it, because quite frankly, a pro writer who's having trouble getting his own cuts with other pro writers probably wouldn't be writing with an amateur unless they were paying them, which again resembles that oldest profession. Now, if you're a young artist and you're talented, or if you're a young writer and you're talented, then it's very likely, and it happens a lot, and I do it enough, that a pro writer would want to share their time and expertise and share in writing co-writing a song, because not for pay, but to actually write, because you want to pass on. Everybody got to town on their own, and somebody helped them. And I feel the same way. If there's a talented person with a good work ethic and maybe some good song ideas, then I would certainly co-write them and have many, many times, and young artists too. But somebody who is paying me to co-write, then that's something that I just can't see my way into at all. In fact, it seems very, very shady indeed. Although I will say this, I had this very conversation with a gentleman that I was Skype teaching for many months. Quite frankly, I think he probably took songwriting lessons over Skype for a good year, or maybe longer. And he asked me, he said, "Steve, can we maybe do a co-write?" And I told him about my feelings about paying to co-write, which he would be doing that, even though it wasn't an exorbitant fee. He was paying a Skype lesson fee like he would pay for any other teaching session. And I said, I just don't feel good about this being a teaching session that you're paying me for, and we're going to be co-writing a song. And this guy changed my viewpoint on some things. He said, he was talking about, he's a black belt instructor and has been for many years, besides being a veterinarian, but a very accomplished martial artist. And he said, when he teaches, there's a time in the student-teacher relationship where the teacher, him, would ask the student to spar with him. In other words, the student would have to be taking for a good while. Maybe he's have to be an upper belt, maybe a brown or black belt, before the teacher would invite the student to spar with the teacher. In other words, co-write with the teacher. And he said at that point, the student really has been taking all this information, all this teaching for a year or 2 or 3 years, and then maybe for the first time really gets to experience what it feels like to actually co-write or spar with that teacher, to start to really feel the moves in real time. And I thought, wow, that's and so that changed my opinion about paying to co-write under the umbrella of a teaching experience. But I would only do that and have done that with students who have been taken with me for a while, and a good while, in fact. And then we actually put some of those principles into play and see what that really kind of feels like. But again, it's not an exorbitant fee. It's the same fee I would charge for a teaching session, and only then does it make sense to me. So I've thought about it a long time. I can't find my way into recommending that to anybody. So beware.